Today on r/today I effed up. Today I effed up, yellow bath bomb panic. So, for some context, I currently share a house with 2 roommates. I often like warm baths and adore bath bombs. Well, I had recently purchased this lemonade-scented bath bomb. The color of the actual ball was, as one might expect, bright yellow. Just got back from a long day of hiking and was going to relax in the tub. Now, the thing about me and my roommates, we generally don't care about anything, and have casually seen each other with less than full coverage of clothes before. We're all guys, if that matters. Roommate 1 and 2 for home, and roommate 1 was starting on dinner. This is the normal routine. He makes us all some dollar store TV dinner because me and roommate 2 are lazy asses. Anyway, I went to go enjoy my bath. I always like it a little hot, and once I filled the tub, I dropped on the bath bomb. Much to my horror, the water slowly turned that distinct color of piss yellow. It was nothing like the actual color of the outside on the bomb. So I was bathing in warm, piss-colored water. Other than my initial disgust, it was great. It smelled nice and had that nice soft feeling you get from bath bombs. I sat back and enjoyed the water. About maybe 10 minutes later, my dog starts scratching on the door. She is a husky and gets pretty whiny if I bathed without her in the room, and oftentimes would come scratch and whine until she was permitted entry by a roommate. Usually I bring her in, but to be honest, I forget more often than not. Anyway, roommate 2 opens the door to let her in. I had the curtain open because I like watching the projection from my sun catchers as I bathe. His eyes are caught by the color of piss, and he leaves the door open in dismay, trying to form a sentence before closing the door. Problem is, the dog barged in so he couldn't close the door. Calypso, my dog, charged at me, excited to be let in. She's a puppy and started trying to bite on my arms, the entire time my roommate's face showing more and more dismay. I yell for him to shut the door and try to push my dog away so she'll stop biting me, which just gets bathwater everywhere. He slammed the door before running off and laughing his ass off, saying, "Bro, the effer's in there piss wrestling the dog." As I'm trying to scramble to get a towel, roommate 1 busts in, sees me getting out of the piss-colored bath and loses his shit. He starts laughing so hard he cries, and I quickly put a towel around me. My roommate's hysterical, keep flooding me with questions like, "Whose piss is that? How did you get that much? Why didn't you just lock the door on this one?" Eventually, through their laughter and my sheer embarrassment, I explain everything, which I don't think they believe. They kept giving me looks, to which I told them to go smell it. Yeah, wrong thing to say. They erupt into chaos again, telling me I'm weird for telling them to smell it. Eventually they gave up and did, confirming it was lemonade bath bomb. Coming out of this, I have 3 realizations. My roommates are toddlers, lock the bathroom door, and don't bathe in piss-addy bomb supreme. For our next story. Today I effed up by exercising my white privilege. My partner and I had an extra $80 burning a hole in our pockets after paying bills, buying groceries, and putting a little money into savings for a rainy day, so we decided to have a treat and spring for some alcohol. I drove the 9 miles into town and browsed the selection. There was a lot of the standard beer, wine, and alcoholic sodas like Mike's Lemonade, etc. Right up in front, though, there was a freezer full of cute little alcohol slush packets in a bunch of different flavors like Blue Hawaiian, raspberry, and so forth, on sale for $1 and some change. Being a thrifty drunkard, I grabbed a basket full of sweet booze and went to the register to check out. I'm not a youngster, and I don't look young either. I've got a fringe of pure white along the edges of my beard, so I was surprised when the cashier asked to see my ID. What I intended to say was, "I'm surprised you need to see my card, what with the white hairs here," as I gestured at my face. Instead, what came out was, "You don't need to card me, I'm white." The way I gasped. I tried to explain what I actually meant, and it was the cringiest thing to ever come out of my mouth. I had to choke down laughter the rest of the time I was in the store, and sat in my car cracking up for like 3 minutes. Let's dive into our next story. Today I effed by giving a little girl a sip of my water. I've been working as an assistant coach on my son's Little League team. The team is 6 to 7-year-olds, 14 boys and 1 girl. I've never coached kids before, but I love baseball and kids always seem to like me, so it is working well. The coach is fantastic and really we all seem to get along great. So the coach texted me and basically said, "Hey, make sure your volunteer paperwork is in order, and I recommend you go and submit for the background check. I want us to be completely above the board. This is standard in Little League sports and so no problem. Never been arrested, everything is cool." I figured somebody complained, and I was racking my brain trying to figure out what I did wrong. The one little girl on this team is a big personality. She always tries to hug me, often in front of her mom, and I try not to hug her back. I've spoken with her mom about this, and she just says, "Oh yeah, she is a big hugger. She hugs everyone." I'm very friendly with her mom, and I do treat the girl a little different than the boys, less hands-on, etc. She goes to the same school as my son, who is popular. The other evening we were playing a game, and it was very sunny and warm. The kids were playing hard and sweating. We're all in the dugout, and I brought a refillable water bottle for my son. I was compelling him to drink water, and the girl says, "I'm really thirsty, can I have some too?" I tell her to go ask her mom for a water bottle, and she says, "My mom is not here now. She watching my brother's game." Okay, so I unscrew the sippy cap off and give it to her, and she takes a drink. A little while later, a different kid asks for a drink, and I say, "Sure, open your mouth and I'll pour you a sip, since I'm trying to not cross-contaminate with germs." The little boy's really thankful because the water is cold. Soon a bunch of kids are asking for me to pour some water in the mouth, and I'm thinking, I'll bring in a big jug next game with paper Dixie cups just like when I was a kid. Then the little girl comes up and asks for a drink. I try to hand it to her and she says, "No, pour it in my mouth like you do to the other kids." I said, "Ok, you are silly, but sure," and pour her a drink into her open mouth. Now apparently some other mom saw this and felt that it was inappropriate and told her mom, and then both moms went to the coach with their concerns. The coach spoke to me about it during the next game. He told me the complaint and immediately said to me, "This is a no-win situation for you. Do you understand?" I assume that means that I shouldn't say or do anything else about it. I was on cloud 9 coaching these kids, and it brought me crashing down to reality. It terrifies and baffles me that I could do something so innocent and be accused of something so horrible. So what am I going to do about it? They just made me an official assistant coach. Well, I am absolutely going no physical contact with this girl. She tried to hug me last game and I stopped her and said, "Sorry, I'm not allowed to." Later she told me that she wanted to play catcher and asked me to help her get the gear on. I told her, "Go ask your mom if she wants you to play catcher." The mom said no, and then appeared in the dugout and said, "I'll help her get the gear on," and she did. I will never be a coach again on any team with a little girl on it. I'm posting this here as a warning to others. Update: I truly appreciate the advice and positive response. This is my first post, so I didn't know what to expect. I found it very therapeutic. So I spoke to my son's mother about this, and she gave me some good advice. She is highly trained with HR protocols for dealing with school-aged children and accusations about abuse. She told me that indeed I did effed up. I should have never provided a child with a personal beverage without the parent's consent. I asked her what I should do going forward, and she told me to go no physical contact with all of the children, not to provide them with any food or drink or gum, and to limit my conversation with them to things about baseball. Good advice, and I'm going to take it. On to the next story. Today I effed up by expanding my toddler's vocabulary. My little guy is not quite 2 and is, as most toddlers are, obsessed with doing what daddy does. Daddy does dishes equals I like doing dishes too. Daddy does laundry equals I must help washer dryer too. I was letting him help with the dishes last night because it was keeping him happy while my wife rested to deal with a migraine. I figured it was a good experience for him to splash around a bit. I zoned out for just a second, and suddenly I see a flash of glass. I instantly realized, oh crap, he got the fragile shot glass, and asked him, "Can daddy have that?" He sort of tossed it at me, which I wasn't expecting, so it fell into the sink and bounced around while I tried to nab it. To my horror, it fell into the garbage disposal just perfectly so that it would be a B word to take out. My brain fused "God dang it" an F word, and it bypassed my PG detector, so I just kind of yelled "God Effed." I am not proud. I try my best to avoid that. Little dude looked at me with the most inquisitive eyes. He looked back at the trash obliterator 9000 with the glass in it. He asked so innocently, "God Effed?" while pointing clearly at the most uneffable device known to man unless you want to blend your whiner. I gotta admit, it caught me off guard, so I couldn't help but laugh. He is a comedian, so he knows it was funny, so he got a big smile and kept repeating it. I know he will bring that up again someday when it is least appropriate. Our last story for today. Today I effed up jumping on a trampoline. Matched with a girl on Tinder. Went on a couple of dates. By the end of date number 2, we realized the physical attraction was present, but every other attraction was non-existent. Not wanting to waste our sexual chemistry, we decided to hook up at her place. Moment I arrived, she gave me a tour of her house. As soon as she showed me her backyard, my inner 5-year-old self came out and I ran straight towards the trampoline. Cue my feet leaving solid ground as I jumped. Mid-air, I heard the girl screaming at me in the background, but her reaction made no sense to me until my feet made contact with the surface of the trampoline. It was not a trampoline. It was a swimming pool cover. A fact that became obvious as F when I instantly became submerged in water instead of bouncing up and down. My life flashed before my eyes, especially the moments when I thought about going for swimming lessons but never did. I was not only fighting to keep my head above water but also fighting the pool cover from closing in on me. The girl whose pool was trying to unalive me was nowhere to be seen. I repeatedly screamed for help in between frantically spitting out way too much water from my mouth and desperately gasping for air. All the stamina I saved up for sexual activities dropped to 0% in seconds. Death was approaching, but that mother effer was not fast enough because a guardian angel came to my rescue just in time. A person I've never met before dived into the pool and pulled me out. When I was done coughing up water and calmed down, I was looking up at two people standing over me. One was the girl who was gonna sleep with me. The other person was a totally unclothed wet guy. Lying on the ground after almost leaving the living, and then suddenly seeing another man's wiener from a low angle was not how I expected my evening to go. Based on the conversation that followed, I learned that the unclothed wet guy was the housemate of the girl I was gonna hook up with. While I was literally fighting to stay alive, Pool Girl ran back into the house and got unclothed wet guy, who was in the shower at the time, to come and save me. I awkwardly thanked unclothed wet guy for saving my life and apologized to Pool Girl for being an impulsive idiot. Unclothed wet guy joked that it's been a while since he went skinny dipping and offered to borrow me some of his dry clothes. I said it was okay, but he insisted. I dried off and got dressed in unclothed wet guy's room while he finished showering. The clothes he made me wear were short and tight from top to bottom, which was not due to the size difference between us, but because I quickly came to realize that unclothed wet guy might be someone who enjoyed showing off his body, with or without clothes. Homoerotic decorations in his room also suggested that he deeply appreciated the male form. The vibe was beginning to make me feel like I was about to have sexual activities with unclothed wet guy instead of Pool Girl, especially when he was making low-key inappropriate jokes in the shower about what the best ways were to repay someone for saving their life. I got out of the room before unclothed wet guy got out of the shower. The plan was to proceed with the original plan, aka sleep with Pool Girl. But she no longer seemed interested in that plan because when I saw her again, she didn't even react to the super tight shirt and shorts I was wearing. Less than 5 minutes later, I was on my way home, telling the Uber driver the whole story, and ending it off with how Pool Girl said she was calling it a night because she was struggling to look at me without seeing me drowning. The Uber driver laughed and said it's called drowning in P-word, not drowning for P-word. I was too mad at myself to laugh. And those are all the stories we have for today. See you tomorrow.